Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. Today I am off to check out the new horror movie, Soulmates. So what's the story of Soulmates? Okay, so the story is about two people who are using this, I guess it's a dating app, that's supposed to help them find their soulmate. But little do they know, it actually puts them into a deadly maze. The two of them wake up one day chained to each other and in this horrendous maze filled with deadly traps and I guess this is supposed to make them soulmates? I don't know. But it looks interesting enough, and the entire thing is put together by a man who calls himself the Matchmaker. And the Matchmaker is played by Neil McDonough, who is a personal favorite character actor of mine. I've seen him in a lot of television. Some of you might know him from the Arrowverse. He played Damien Dark on, well, Arrow, Flash. I think he was also, he was on all of them, to be perfectly honest, because he did a great job. The guy is an excellent villain. He's one of my favorite villainous actors that you can find out there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table with this. I mean, yes, when I watched the trailer, I saw a little bit of Saw in this movie because of the whole idea of someone throwing people into traps, but this idea has been around for a very long time. Heck, we can go back to the X-Men comics, because Arcade, yeah, one of the X-Men villains back in the 80s. His name was Arcade, and this is what he did. He threw the X-Men into these traps, and they had to try to figure their way out. So it's not like Saw is the first one to invent that idea. Alright guys, well, enough of me sitting here yammering about this movie. It's time for me to go check it out. So I am off to check out Soulmates. Welcome back. Just getting home, and you know what, guys? I went into this film with zero expectations. I had no idea what to expect, never heard of this film. I was scrolling through my AMC app when I came across it, so I didn't know anything about it. I just thought, hey, what the hell? Let's go check out a movie, shall we? And you know, honestly, I was pleasantly surprised, but the film is not without its issues. So let's get this started, shall we? I like to do it this way. I like to start things with the negatives and then move into the positives, so the video always ends on the ever so important high note. Okay, so the number one thing really that I feel really holds this movie back a lot is it likes to hold itself, likes to hold, I guess you would say, its surprises very close to its chest. It doesn't reveal a lot of the mystery and what is going on. Two people wake up, they're chained together, and they just have to figure out a series of events and save people from traps to get out of this maze that they're in. But for the first hour, at least, of the film, you really have no idea what's going on, to the point where you're almost about to give up. But don't worry, at that exact moment, that's when things do change, and the movie does kind of I guess you could say shift tone-wise in the third act, and it's kind of jarring. It does really surprise you and come out of nowhere, but then it does a good job of bringing everything back together again. So basically, the pacing of the film isn't the greatest, but it's far from the worst. The second thing about this movie that I had an issue with, unfortunately, was the acting. Not that it's terrible by any means, it just seemed very stiff. Everything didn't seem to have the exact emotional response that it should have. Each one of our lead characters are thrown into these horrible situations where they're having to try to save someone's life, and it didn't feel like they cared as much as they should. It just didn't seem like the emotional tension was necessarily there. And I think one of the issues is that our victims for the most part in this film, are just random people. In the Saw films, you know, they always have this great way of having mystery attached to who is the victims and so on and so forth when it comes to the traps. Everything kind of makes sense, but in this film, nothing makes sense until like the third act, which is slightly annoying because like the whole time you're just kind of going, so what is the point of all of this? And that's really the worst of all of it. I honestly do like this film, but yeah, those are two things about it that really bother me. So let's move into the positives. Okay, so the number one, the best thing about this film is honestly, it's the concept. I really enjoyed the idea. It just needed to have a little bit more oomph to it. Like I said, when they come into these traps, the characters, they just didn't have any kind of emotional attachment to them. However, all of the traps are fairly creative. What they do is try to simulate like a perfect date, as weird as that might sound. So every single trap has something to do with dating. I liked that little aspect. Also, our big baddie, he is great. Neil McDonough does an absolutely fantastic job, and you can tell that he is definitely the seasoned actor in this film. Now, will we see him as one of horror's big baddies? Probably not. I don't think we're going to probably hear from the Matchmaker again, but I wouldn't mind. If they do another Matchmaker film, I would like to see it be just a slight bit grittier. This film also, yes, it does deliver in the gore. There is a little bit. It's got some decent practical effects. This film is in no way close to the gore level of the Saw franchise, Hostel franchise. I would not in a million years throw this movie into torture porn. However, there are moments of gore, but it's just not as heavy and hard-hitting as those movies. It's a little bit more, despite the fact this is an R-rated film, some of the gore in this movie is very PG-13 and sanitized. The film does not have a grimy look to it, which I think would have really helped with the movie a little bit, but I digress. All in all, I felt like this was a halfway decent film, and it didn't really bother me too awful much. I enjoyed it for the most part. Like I said, I do believe it has some flaws, but on the end of the day, I was entertained, and I did enjoy it when it was all over. Now, honestly, folks, I don't necessarily think that this is a see it in theaters kind of movie, in my opinion. Now, I'm going to leave that up to you. If you are a big fan of this kind of genre, if you love horror movies where people are captured and thrown into a maze, I do believe that it breaks the formula up enough that it does bring some different concepts to the table in that type of a film, and you might find something enjoyable about this. If you're more of a casual viewer of horror and thrillers, and you're just looking for a Halloween-y scary film, maybe wait for this one to be on streaming. Alright guys, well that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And if there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.